Hey guys, Sidewinder here for Community Starcraft 2. I'm back for more games and I'd planned on... jeez, my nose is freaking out. Anyway, I had planned on doing a lot of tutorials lately, but I don't have a lot of replays all lined up and I only have a little while to cast. So let's just kick back and watch some pro games, shall we? Today's pro game, this is actually going to be a series. This is going to be a best of 3, I think. I mean, these seem like custom games. I don't know what the point of this was, but there are 3 games in this series nonetheless. This is going to be Minigun, who's the blue Protoss. He's fighting evil geniuses EG'Idra, and this is a particularly compelling match for those of you that follow streams and stuff like that for StarCraft 2, because these two have had a lot of games in which EG'Idra has gotten really pissed off at Minigun's tactics. Minigun actually played EG'Idra recently in a Zerg vs. Zerg and beat him. So there's a little bit of backstory behind these two. I expect these to be entertaining games, and if they're not, sorry, but usually I won't post entertaining games, so I guess there's not really much of a point in me saying this. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this game and see what's going on. Minigun, of course, opening Forge Fast Expand, as is very normal on this map. EG'Idra's going pool first, so that he does not get something like cannon blocked or cannon rushed at his natural expansion if he decided to go hatch first. Obviously this is not on the ladder, as we can see the neutral supply depot at the bottom of the ramp here on Shakuras Plateau, preventing any of those pylon walls. So I guess he wouldn't have to worry about that in the first place. I wish I had more information on what the point of this little series was, but I don't. It may have just been a casual match between these two, but EG'Idra's known for getting pretty upset at Minigun's tactics, and Minigun is kind of, I want to say, a leading innovator in Protoss right now in terms of finding the best way to approach Zerg in particular. He's kind of a PvZ expert right now. But Minigun has gone ahead and thrown down his Nexus first. He's going to start his Forge, as we can see that warping in right there. He's paused probes for now. He's probably going to start a gateway with his next 150 minerals, is what I would suspect. There are some Zerglings on the way for EG'Idra and a Queen, which is very normal. Down goes the gateway at the wall. Minigun did pylon block EG'Idra just to make him a little more mad, but more specifically just to prevent that natural hatchery from going down as soon as possible. He's going to come in here and bug this probe a little more, but he needs to be careful because there are now Zerglings on the field that are going to chase this probe away or kill it. If Minigun gets too aggressive in this probe, he probably would have died if EG'Idra had just assigned one Zergling to it right away, but he should be able to get home. EG'Idra's actually taking his third base right now instead of the natural, considering his natural was pylon blocked. So I expect EG'Idra to take this one, and then go ahead and take this hatchery as soon as he has the resources, and plop, there it goes. So EG'Idra's going to be on 3 bases very soon, and as a Protoss player, there's a lot of different ways you can exploit that. Minigun needs to complete his wall off here as soon as he can, and he does with that Cybernetics core. But the way you can exploit this fast third is if you just go for a really super fast pressure play after you get your mining done on here. You can go up to about 35 or 40 probes and really make the Zerg player pay for over-droning at that third base. Minigun was trying to hide a probe here, and EG'Idra actually scouts it out. So I'm very happy to see EG'Idra in particular do that, considering there are a lot of builds floating around right now for Protoss where they try to keep a probe sitting around the map and like drop a pylon here on the ledge so they can warp straight into the main and bypass any static defenses that the Zerg player might have. So it's very smart of EG'Idra to do that. It may actually force Minigun to adjust what he has planned in this game. Minigun is on 2 gas. He only has 2 harvesters on this one, so maybe a little bit of a mistake, but nevertheless he is chronoing out probes. He's a little bit supply blocked. In terms of income, you can see Minigun has a 1 probe lead over EG'Idra, and Minigun smartly coming out here and trying to kill these Zerglings that typically sit in front of the base, so that EG'Idra has very little scouting information. Back on the production tab, Minigun has now started a Cybernetics core after starting a Stalker, so Minigun's probably going to be a little bit annoying with this Zealot and that Stalker. I'm waiting to see what Minigun's next stage of tech is, to see how he's going to bug EG'Idra. And EG'Idra needs to be kind of careful and not over-drone once again, but EG'Idra is now taking both of his gases here in his main, as he did not get speed on his Zerglings, so we can see that it's not researched yet. No gas here at the natural, no gas here at the third, so EG'Idra's just kind of playing a middle-of-the-road sort of build. Minigun's now taking his 2 extra gas here at his natural. There's now a sentry coming out, which will protect him from any sort of early pressure plays. And the Zealot and Stalker are now in the natural of EG'Idra, doing a little bit of annoyance, trying to kill this Queen. That's actually a pretty big pickoff This Stalker is definitely going to die, but it's at least going to get scouting information, and more importantly, he's not going to see a Roach Warren, so he knows that he can be pretty aggressive here in the next little bit if he decides to throw down a bunch of gateways or something, but we will see what he opts to do. The Stalker is going to be okay if it can get off creep, because it is slightly faster than these speedless Zerglings. So it does get off creep, and you can see him just barely getting separation, and he still needs to be careful and not die. He is just going to sack that Stalker, though, and check to see what the saturation's like on the third. And he's going to see EG'Idra now at about 50 drones, with a few more on the way. So EG'Idra's droning really, really hard. He's only produced this little batch of Zerglings, which is 6 larvae. And I think he did lose a pair of Zerglings here, but EG'Idra's now throwing down his Roach Warren, Minigun going for a robotics facility, and a couple of extra gateways. Considering he is on these 4 geysers now, you might see him go for just that 6 gate blink timing if you're going to see more gateways drop. Here's a 4th gateway coming down right here. There is a Twilight Council coming down, and he might just start researching blink as soon as he gets the available resources for it. EG'Idra's trying to scout in here and see what's going on. You can see what his Overlord sees, just 1 extra gateway. And he did see another gateway right here, at least if he clicked on it he would see that. And indeed, he's going to be up at 6 gates with the robotics facility almost done. It's just going to be for observers to prevent any sort of burrow play out of roaches. There's another gateway coming down, so this is going to make it 7 gateways. I'm pretty sure he's going to start blink on this, but we will see. I've seen DT plays out of this, but he doesn't have a ton of space to operate on this. But yeah, he does go straight for blink. He is grabbing that observer so that he can just rally it over to the enemy base and see what's going on in there. He is also getting +1. He might even be able to chrono out +2 before this attack commences, but we will see how aggressive he wants to be with it. An extra Cybernetics core coming down, and that's how he can destroy this one and get out of his base. EG'Idra is going for Roach speed. +1 melee attacks are on the way. If you look back in his base, he has excellent saturation at all 3 of his bases, only mining off of 1 geyser at each expansion, and his main in conjunction with that. There's also Pneumatized Carapace, which is Overlord speed. And Minigun is also grabbing a Warp Prism, so this is shaping up to be a little bit of a turn of events. This is not an overly standard build to see both of these upgrades coming down at the same time. But here comes the Stalkers being warped in. The sentries are focusing down and tickling this Cybernetics core until it dies. So we're going to see him break out of his wall. The Zerglings are going to see this coming, and he may have even seen that debris. That's kind of funny. Yeah, he may have just seen that debris just flop down there and roll around on the ground a little bit and been like, huh, I guess something just died. But EG'Idra now sees the army moving out. 17 roaches are on the way. So if EG'Idra gets good engagement angles here and doesn't get blocked off by one of these ramps, he should be okay here. He has fantastic creep spread to have it all over this side and able to get the speed bonuses that he desperately needs. Here comes a Warp Prism loading up 4 sentries. He does have blink on these Stalkers, so he could just force field this ramp right here and then just blink right into the main. EG'Idra now sees the Warp Prism floating in here, and he wisely goes to the top of the ramp. Very, very smart. And he does force field this ramp right here, so up blink the Stalkers. He now has reinforcement from this Warp Prism, and this is probably going to make EG'Idra very, very mad. He does not have Burrow or Tunneling Claw, so he cannot get around this. Here comes EG'Idra going for a counter is what he looks like he wants to do, not have to deal with those stupid force fields. But up comes Minigun's attack. He is in the main. There's no resistance here. Minigun does not lay down extra force fields here to stop these Zerglings, so they're going to kill sentries for free, and that is very painful. All these roaches are here. We're going to have to see what Minigun's decision making is from here, but he has killed the Roach Warren. He has not killed the spawning pool, but the lair is still up, so Minigun can still get away with a lot. EG'Idra is being blocked here on the ramp, as we can see from these roaches all getting pinned in this tiny little area. Minigun desperately trying to throw up photon cannons, which are your best DPS at this point. So he wants to kill these roaches as soon as possible, and if he can keep warping in the sentries, he'll hold this off, but he's running super thin on gas. EG'Idra is going to be able to bust up here in just a second. But EG'Idra leaves the game, so never mind. He had enough of that. I really think that that counter would have done a lot of damage, and if he was able to see these sentries energy counts, he would see that he did not have another force field prepared. So once again, EG'Idra perhaps leaving just a little early in this game. Of course, does not call out the good game, which is customary when playing Minigun. EG'Idra hates the little tactics that Minigun runs with his sentries blocking off these ramps and whatnot. Very cool play there out of Minigun, very creative and very smart, of course, knowing that Protoss players can cut off these little points, and Zergs just can't do anything about it unless they have dropping or a Nidus network, or tunneling cloth so the roaches can go underneath the force field. So cool game though. Join me for game 2. It should be coming up here right after this game that you're watching now. Check that out. I'll see you there in just a second.